Bates Motel is a series on A&E that answers the question nobody was asking: what was Norman Bates like as a teen?
You're new. When did you move here?
Last night.
Do you have a girlfriend?
No, just me and my mom.
What do you think?
This is crazy, Mom.
We own a motel, Norman Bates.
You're different.
What's so different about me?
I don't know, it's just a feeling I get.
Nowhere is like this. People in this town, they deal with things in a different way.
I am a huge fan of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, although I guess that's not really a very unique thing to be a fan of, and I kind of was on the fence about this whole Bates Motel series because when I first heard about it, I thought, just stop. Why? We don't need this. But then Freddie Highmore and Vera Farmiga got cast, and I saw some footage, like some little teasers that were pretty cool, and I thought, you know what? Maybe it'll be good. Maybe it will work as its own thing. And I have to say, I do think that some things work, but in general, it did not grab me enough that I am excited about finding out what happens next. But let's get a little more into Bates Motel, of course just talking about the pilot, starting off with the plot. Now, obviously I was being silly at the start of this review. It's not just about, check out Norman Bates in his awkward teen years. That's not the whole idea of it. But the main question is this series supposed to technically tie in with the original Psycho? Obviously, timeline-wise it wouldn't because this is present day. And so, unless there's time travel involved, which this is from the creators of Lost, right? So, I mean, I guess I wouldn't be surprised. I don't see it connecting to the original Psycho, obviously, but the events of the original Psycho taking place, I don't know, sometime in the 2020s, is that really like the end goal, or is this kind of like a whole new thing just using the original characters? I don't really know. Honestly, there are things that make it seem like it could go one way or the other, but I almost get the feeling that they're trying to stay on the fence because if it goes wrong, they can say, we never intended it to fit in with the original Psycho. It's its own thing. And if it goes right, then they can say that they did. So it feels a little bit like, they're trying to have their cake and eat it too with that. But if it does end up connecting with, the original Psycho as far as future events go, it kind of already has made that seem insignificant to me, to be honest with you, because already in the pilot, something happened that I think is, altogether, the whole situation is considerably worse than the events of Psycho would eventually be in the 2020s. So it's like, what are we building up toward? Because it seems a little insignificant at this point. So I suppose it's better to just look at this as its own thing and, not wonder what's going to happen in the future or whatever and just kind of follow along as it goes. In which case, it's kind of pointless, I guess, because if it doesn't go where the story ends up going in Psycho, then is it even Psycho? Is it even the same characters? I don't know. Like I said, this series takes place in present day, and surprisingly, I didn't really mind it, aside from a girl immediately taking selfies on an iPhone. But I'm able to overlook that. The only thing I'm not really able to overlook is the fact that, you're watching this because it's Bates Motel, it's Norman Bates, it's Norma Bates, it's, the whole Psycho sort of world, and it doesn't feel like it at all, mainly because, and I don't know if it's more in the writing or the directing, it's just not subtle at all, and I think the original Psycho was pretty subtle for the most part, for what it's worth, and I don't know maybe if Hitchcock made it today that it wouldn't be, maybe it would be just like this show, but it's very, very kind of blunt and obvious, and there's not a whole lot of mystery because, they're just kind of laying it all out for you, and they try to put together a little bit of a mystery. It's like pretend mystery because, I'm not invested enough that I care about the little bit of mystery that kind of came up at the end. It felt like they just needed to throw something in, and it was kind of just weird. As far as the directing goes, I thought that it was handled relatively well. Like I said, I do feel like, it's definitely not subtle enough, as subtle as I'd like at least. Pretty obvious, and once again, I don't know if it's in the writing or the directing. I will say, though, that some of the shots are great in this thing, especially the exteriors of the motel, and more importantly, the house. Beautiful. Looks legit. I love it. And I overall like the tone of the show. I think the tone is great, but probably the best part of the show, and definitely a main reason I will still give it a chance, is the cast. Freddie Highmore, I like him a lot. I thought he did a great job in the pilot, and, he's a great actor, so as soon as I saw he was a part of this, I knew I would at least get something out of it, and, I definitely enjoyed his performance. Also, Vera Farmiga, a great job as well. I think that they work together very well. They've got good chemistry going on. The only thing is, and I guess I should have mentioned it earlier because I guess this is in the writing, Freddie Highmore, it just feels awkward whenever he calls his mom mother. And that's one of those things where it's like, okay, so, is this connecting to the original Psycho? Because that's what Anthony Perkins, Norman Osborn, called his mother. It doesn't feel like it really fits in 2013. It fit back then and nobody questioned it, but now it just feels very out of place. Also, similarly, we get it. He's Norman Bates. You don't have to say Norman Bates over and over, especially if you're his mom. Stop calling him Norman Bates. And the rest of the cast seemed fine. Nothing special so far. Certainly nothing bad, I don't think. I don't really know who's going to play a big part in the show or who's going to, die in the next episode. I have no idea what's going to happen. The only other thing I'll say is, because I'm going to give this show a chance, I really hope that they, polish up the intro to the show, like the little title sequence, because damn, was that lame or what? I mean, you have so many possibilities. You could go like full on, Hitchcock-esque if you want, even just like the original Psycho sort of, but man, oh man, that was such a boring title sequence. Maybe I'm looking a little too far into that. Let me know in the comments what you thought of Bates Motel. Let me know what you thought of the title sequence. I'm just kidding. You don't have to if you don't want. Let me know how you feel about it, connecting to Psycho. Obviously, it won't connect to the original just because there's a, timeline thing unless there's time travel in it. But let me know as far as the events of Psycho go, it eventually getting there or it not getting there, I don't know. I don't remember if they said it's going to. Maybe they did. So I'm going to have to look into it. But as far as the show goes so far, that's what I'm talking about. Let me know if you're excited for more. Let me know if it hooked you, if it grabbed you. Like I said, it didn't really for me, but maybe it did for you. Let me know what you thought of the cast. Let me know anything else that you want about Bates Motel. And that's pretty much it.
Don't be scared. I'm going to protect you.
You don't think about the future or what's gonna happen when you grow up?
It's all gonna be good, Norman.